It's time to do with a good friend of ours. One of them Texas boys walks around wearing a cowboy hat, calls himself old, but he's not. He's fooling you. Don't listen to him.
I'm older than y'all.
We got the Squatching Cowboy for you next, and we're going to have him come over and relate to you what he's found, give his presentation for the TTWV. So here we go, Cowboy. Come on. You're up.
Does he have a card that turned on in there? He's got the battery on?
He don't have a card in there. He don't know how to put them in. Sorry, brother. It's all yours, buddy.
I need a microphone. First off, I'd like to thank the Academy. I like to thank my wife. I like to thank Mogs who's walking in late. I don't know what to tell y'all. Y'all already heard my stories, but
I haven't.
so I'll take questions.
I got my snacks. Let's go.
Questions?
I haven't heard your story.
Oh God.
Yeah, neither am
I knew there was gonna be one say that.
Well, that makes the second one that said it, Cowboy.
Yeah. When me and Keith started doing this, we've been camping for 30 plus years together. And we decided, I think we was out bass fishing or something like this. We heard something in the woods, and I said, "Man, it sounded like a Bigfoot." And Keith said something like, "Man, you believe in Bigfoot?" And I said, "Well, yeah, don't you?" He goes, "I don't know." So we started talking about it, went on and on like that. And so we said, started talking about, when we go camping, why don't we just, go do a little Bigfoot? And so my wife says, "Yeah, why don't y'all videotape it while y'all out there Bigfooting and put it on YouTube?" And I said, "Oh, that sounds pretty good. I guess I could do that." She goes, "Squatching Cowboy." and it was born at that time. It was born at that time. It was going to be the Squatching Cowboys, but King goes, "No, it don't sound too cool." So that's how it becomes the Squatching Cowboy. The first real, I'll tell you, I'll pay y'all later. Everybody's going crazy now that you got up there. And our first real Bigfoot thing we did was in Three Rivers, Oklahoma. And we went out there, we stayed primitive camping, not around anybody else for miles. We stayed out there for 6 days. Was it 6 days? We didn't hear nothing. We didn't see them. Of course, we didn't know what the heck we were looking for, or what to listen for, or. So I decided to, a couple of months later, decided to go up to Tallahena, Oklahoma, and check it out to go up there. Somebody, a hiker, said he'd seen a Bigfoot walking down one of the trails up there. So I went up there and scouted it out. I made I do my videos about 15 minutes long, so you don't get bored of them. And I checked it out. I made a video of Oklahoma up to the trails of Tallahena State Park. And Buddy, one of my good friends now, Keith, he told me not to say his last name because people are wanting his autograph. He contacted me and said, "Hey man, I live up here close to Tallahena, and I had an encounter with a Bigfoot when I was 15. Was it 15? And I said, "Well, tell me about it." He said it was back then there was this real skinny, narrow logging road, and he said he was riding his four-wheeler down there going to do some hunting. He said this Bigfoot come out of the creek, and he said, this is exact words is what he said. He said, it looked like somebody grabbed a poodle and dipped it in some water and stomped it on the ground and went walk across that creek. And he said, dumb butt me, I jumped off my four-wheeler and went to chase it up the hill. He said, I got about halfway up the hill. I said, what in the heck am I doing? And he ran back down, got his four-wheeler, went back up there to his house. And his mama said, "What's wrong, Keith?" He said, I just seen a Bigfoot." She started laughing at him. So he contacted me, and me and Kitty went up there. I never met this guy before in our lives. Never met before. He let us come on his land, used his side-by-side, little four-wheeler type thing. Let us use that because he said, "There's no way you're going to walk. You've got 30,000 acres or whatever it is up there." He said, "There's no way you can walk it." He said, "Take my four-wheeler, I'm a side-by-side."
We've spent days and days and weeks up there and still haven't even covered
Yeah, we haven't finished covering all the property. We go up there every year. We usually try to go up there like the day after Christmas because everybody's home looking at their presents and everything. Nobody's thinking about getting out in the woods, So can't really hoax anybody up there. But the first time me and Kenny went up there, we drove around trying to find a place to camp. And we decided on this place that was right beside the road. And there's only one way in this place. Camp right beside the road. And I started putting up the tent. Kenny said, "I'm going to go put up a trail cam." And oh, you fix that camera.
went black.
I know you got to turn it off. Up on top there. And turn it back on.
The cowboy can use a phone, it won't do that.
No, that thing's made in Taiwan.
That's what?
And they only let you record 29 minutes and 59 seconds and then it cut off, but you can turn it right back on and start recording. That's true, that's what Guy Penny told me.
That's about 46 square miles you got there. That's a lot of land.
Gets up there in 30 minutes.
Oh, don't say that. Oh, well, probably is. Okay, I'm sure. And so I stayed there to try to put up the tent. And Kenny said, "I'm going to walk down the creek and put up a trail cam." So he walked down the creek. Kenny, you can come tell this better than I can about what happened to you. Come on over here.
Come on up there.
And I was looking at the camera.
It's getting dark. I found an area earlier in the day that looked like a good spot to put a trail cam out. Oh, remember the hamburger meat? We were going to put some meat, something to smell, might draw something in, And so I went and got that, and I was going back in the dark, and walking down there, and I heard something. First sounded like footsteps, heavy footsteps, but I can't even explain something that could walk that heavy. It's not just like a crunching, it's like a thud, just pounding on the ground. And then it stopped, and I finished putting up the trail cam, and I was like, man, I'm getting out of here. It's getting dark. And then when I made more noise to start back, it's like it spooked it more, and it busted through the brush and the leaves. And I've spent my whole life in the woods, hunting and camping and elk hunting in Colorado and all over northern United States, and I've never heard anything that was busting through that brush so hard that it made that lively noise. And I got on back to camp, pretty freaked out. And Joe had went getting wood, but I didn't know where he went. Well, it turns out he had went back up the road.
In the side-by-side.
Well, the direction I'd went had kind of angled off from camp to where we kind of in a V. I wasn't that far from where he was. I was in the woods, but he was down the road. And I got back, and I was waiting on him to get back, and then he comes back, and then tell him what you told me.
Well, first off, the creek, he thinks that Bigfoot followed the creek down because the creek would run across the road where I was gathering firewood. And I picked up a big old cedar branch and I broke it in half. And when I broke it in half, I heard boom, boom, boom. 3 footsteps and it stopped. And I had one of those little old cheap knockoff mag light looking things, about that big, it shines about 10 feet.
Maybe.
And maybe. And the side-by-side didn't have any lights on it at all. And it was already dark, so I was shining out there trying to see anything, and I couldn't see anything. I jumped back that side-by-side never went so fast in all his life, me getting back to camp. And Keith said something about, "What's wrong, man?" And I told him, I says, "I just heard 3 big old heavy footsteps in the woods back there." He goes, "Are you kidding me?" And he said, "Because I heard a bunch of them up creek from you." So we think it was the same one.
It had to be the way you described it.
Because he walked down the creek.
Exactly what I heard.
Wait a minute, there's Joe.
That's how many
later on that night, it was real quiet. We were sitting around the fire, and I mean, it was just real quiet, just chattering around or nothing. So I said, I'm gonna see if I can't stir up some coyotes. So I go out there and go, woo! Sure enough, the coyotes bust out. After a while, the coyotes quit. The creepy part was when, about 10 minutes later, I hear a call sound just like what I did. And then the coyotes start going again. And then the coyotes die off. And then what, about 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, is when we heard the tree knocks. And we're sitting there around the fire. He's got the recorder. He's trying to get it on where you get voice activated, right? Voice activated? And he was trying to figure out how to do it like this. And all of a sudden we hear boom, boom, 4, I mean, heavy tree knocks. It sounded like 10 times what a baseball bat would knock a baseball out of the ball. And me and Keith's mouth just dropped. We just sitting there frozen. It was about 7,500 yards away from us. And then 4 more. I mean, he slow, he just hit it. Bam. And then he stopped and took a break and got a better grip.
Listen for more or something.
Did 4.
Start back up.
And then a couple seconds later, 2. And me and Keith got, what the heck is going on here?
This is thousands and thousands of acres where we know there's no way there's anybody else out there.
And Keith, the guy that owns the property, his house is about a mile from where we were camped at. And he's got a bad hip, so he can't walk very far. So it couldn't be Keith. And we're on the only road into that place.
We had it side by side.
Yeah, we had it side by side, so he couldn't sneak up there. But nobody else could sneak on that place without us knowing it. And the rest of the night was just dead silent. No sound whatsoever. And me and Keith stayed up the rest of the night trying to debunk it. We fought up every scenario possible trying to debunk them 18 knocks. Couldn't figure out nothing. It could only be a human or a Bigfoot. Nothing else
I
could have
used to
done
not
that.
even believe in tree knocks. I was like,
I didn't
why
either.
would they do that? What are they carrying a big stick around for when they get ready to do some? Or do they decide to and then have to find a stick? And how many times we picked up a stick in the woods to try to find one to do some tree knocks and they break and they...
Every time.
9 out of 10 times.
You're right.
I don't know if...
And this, you could tell, this wasn't no dead tree it was beating on. It was beating on a lot. You could tell the difference between a tree limb hitting on a dead tree or a live tree. Whatever this was hitting on a live tree, and it was loud and it was rocking the place.
No human could do that.
And then we drove up there the next day, the next morning. Well, by the time the sun was cutting up, we went and got to sleep. And then we drove the side by side back up the hill where we thought we heard the knocks. And we searched that place like curry combing a horse.
But it's all...
It's rock.
The whole ground.
So you can't find no track.
But we were looking for maybe the tree with the impressions on it, or a stick, or any other kind of evidence, or evidence that someone snuck in and did it.
No evidence of
Leaves.
campfires.
It's not leaves, it's rocks, you know. And
And I'll say this again: we didn't find any water balls like deer hunters always leave.
it wasn't even deer season.
Yeah, it was. I think deer season was up there like 2 weeks. It was in November, so there wasn't no deer hunters around. And then we went back up there the year after that, and it rained on us all day. So we stayed. They had a little deer shack up there, so we stayed in the shack all day. The little cabin.
Was that his shack?
It probably wasn't no bigger than this. And finally it quit raining, so we decided we'd go out there and get a fire going, just sit around and see if we hear anything. Didn't hear nothing. So I said, well, I'm gonna call it a night. So we decided to get up from the fire, go in the house, and that's when it was like a pretty good ways off, but it just went raw, real loud. Way off to the west of us, no, east of us.
It was nothing like here.
Yeah, and then just a few seconds later we hear, woo! Out there in the middle of these woods. And I'm like, man, this is crazy, man. This is the second time we've been up here and we're hearing this stuff. The third time we went up there, third time we went up there when I found the track. I told Kenny I was walking down the hill, the mountain, and there was a creek down there. And I just got that camera and I didn't know how to work the thing. Still don't know how to work it. And I come on top now, there's a creek down there, says I need to go down by that creek because he always follows the creek. So I walked down to that creek and I was just walking along and I tried to cross it. And when I stepped across it,
You want me to?
I seen what looked like a footprint down there, but it was smaller than mine. And I thought I was taking pictures of that footprint in the water. I didn't take any pictures of it. Didn't have any pictures of it whatsoever. But it's in the video. You can see when I take a step, the footprint's down there. And then I walk on down a little bit and come across the creek again, and there's 3 more little bitty juvenile footprints. And this is out in the middle of the woods. And Keith and Sabrina don't have any kids. So nobody's taking their kids up there swimming in the creek, only 3 or 4 inches deep, so you can't go swimming in it. But, like I say about. And then I went to Sabine River bottoms, and I walked back through the woods. I was fixing to leave, and I said, I want to go check out these woods. So I was walking back through the briars and poison ivy and snakes. And guy sitting there, picture of a timber rattler up in a tree. And
Jeez.
so I'm walking, it's thick like this, walking back through there. And I come across this hill, and the hill goes up like that, and kind of levels off and goes back up. And I see something look like it slid down the side of the bank, and I walked up there to it, and there's something looked like there's something slipped, and on that level part, that's where I found the about 18-inch footprint, and then another print up here that stepped and slipped. And I said, I didn't have my casting materials with me. So I said, I could come back next week. So I came back next week, and the hogs come through there and trashed it all out. Trashed it all out. And then me and my wife went down to Fairfield, Texas, at Fairfield Lake. It's my video preacher at Fairfield Lake. And we was just driving along, like me and Kenny did yesterday, but Kenny found that little track. We just look out, we see a muddy spot, we just kind of look out the window and see if we see anything, then we'll stop. My wife said, stop, take a look at this. So I went out there and looked. To me, I'm not gonna say it's a Bigfoot, but it looks like feet. I can't say it because I didn't see it happen, you know. There was a big 17-inch footprint this way. I think it was 11 inches of footprint this way, and then right here beside it was a 7-inch footprint. Now so I'm gonna look around for more prints, and then all of a sudden across the creek, a little ditch, there's another footprint. There's a barbed wire fence up there that was pushed down, and a tree limb was broke off, like you grabbed that tree limb, stepped over it, and broke the tree limb off.
Cast any of them? Why didn't you cast those?
Because they're in the water.
Oh, they were? I wasn't with him on this one.
Yeah, they're in the water. So I was talking about Steve saying that.
It's a buddy of mine that I pitched tournaments with, and he laughs at us, and I'm sure y'all got those friends.
Oh yeah.
Bigfoot, you're an idiot, and all that.
I don't have any.
We call these anybody.
I'll throw it at him.
But Steve was telling me he'd been over fishing in another lake. What lake?
Fairfield. That's why I went down to Fairfield.
A friend, and he was telling me, man, I don't believe it. You're not going to believe what we saw. He said they were fishing up in this little cove, and they looked over, and it looked like something leaning.
They said there's a down tree, the tree
Yeah,
falling.
it looked like something was kind of leaning or outlining something. But Steve joked, oh, look, that's a Bigfoot, you know, to his buddy or whatever, and they were laughing about it or whatever. It kind of looked like one. And then they went fishing somewhere else, and they come back an hour or two later, and it was gone. Whatever they was there, and then they were like, oh, crap.
Now, he told me that it looked like you see the top of the head and arms hanging over the down tree like that.
Looking at it.
And when he came back, it was gone.
So he believes
And no, no, he don't. But that's about all.
And that's when you went to Fairfield Lake.
Got up to Fairfield Lake, and that's what I was talking about. And then I went down to Cassachi, and Pat wouldn't show me around.
Have you looked into the Lake Worth monster at all? The big white?
No, I know what you're talking about.
Sasquatch?
No, no.
Yeah, you should definitely check that out soon. That'd be very cool.
That's what I've heard a lot. I've heard that all my life.
There's a good image of it. You know, I don't know if it's authentic, but it's definitely white for like the abominable snowman.
Joe, have you ever been to Brown Springs I hear so much about?
You haven't been watching my videos, have you?
Yeah, I've watched you.
My last video that I done.
Well, almost everybody's last video coming down.
Well, I haven't made a video since July
Okay.
because I've been sick, and I took August off to get well so I come up here and see these guys. They were kind enough to invite me. I don't know why they invited me, because I can't handle nothing like Wayne and Derek and them. My stories ain't nothing compared to theirs.
I remember you saying you've been sick in the chat room.
And I don't have the tattoos that
We
Wayne's
haven't been
got.
doing it near as long as them either.
I've only been doing it a couple of years, 2 years, 2.5 years, something like
Get the
that.
time, yeah.
And I think we've been really close to seeing one.
Boy, it sounds like
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's my hot spot, man. I can't say that enough. Oh, and Keith also told us that right down the street from his house, a friend of his takes care of some land, kind of like you take care of Toby Keith's land. He kind of takes care of this land down there. And he said he pulled up down there like this. Like it's flat like this and goes into a slight hill and there's trees up there. He said he'd seen a Bigfoot come out of the trees and walk down and then go back up into the trees. And in one of my videos, Bigfoot back in Oklahoma, I go down there and reenact what I think he's seen. I didn't get to talk to him, but Keith told me that.
He just had a family member die when we went down there, so we didn't want to bother him.
But he had told Keith everything that happened, and Keith told me where to go, where it was, and what the guy's seen. So I went down there and reenacted that. That was pretty cool. And I hope I did a good job. I'm not as big as one, but except in the belly.
What podcasts have you been on? I know you've been on Logie on Monster.
Old Bears.
Old Bears Den.
What's your name again?
You're like the Ed McMahon on his show, though, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. He's always cutting me down.
Have you done animal research?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Awesome.
3 times, I think. 2, 3, something like that. I've been on Bigfoot Aussie with Kerry and Daniela, and I've been on there with Daniela and Gary Spikes. I've been on Squatch America, which used to be Blue Line, I think. Blue Line.
Did I have you on with Daniel Benoit?
No, I wasn't on there with Daniel Benoit, but that was our first interview with Daniel Benoit.
Very cool.
And me and King was sitting out in the front yard.
That's who that was?
Yeah.
Phone interview.
It was just a phone interview.
Audio only.
Our first interview, that was it. I thought I was a rock star.
Yeah, how far did you live from the Oklahoma border?
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
Maybe about 2 hours, but get to Keith's place, it takes us about 5 hours to get there. Because of all the little roads you gotta get back onto to go to
Three
Tallahassee.
Rivers that's a public hunting land.
His place ain't.
No, I know his isn't, but the Three Rivers you talked about.
Oh, the Three Rivers
We
one.
went up
Yeah, is
there
that
too.
pretty
But
good
you have to
place?
have a permit to go in there to hunt.
Yeah,
But it's
you have to have a permit to just go on it.
yeah, it
That
costs
where
us
we-
$80 a piece
That
just
where
to
we
camp
went
on
the
it.
one
Yeah.
time and didn't see or hear nothing,
Yeah.
and the game warden was
But
hot as
We
hell.
did find a big barefoot print,
Oh yeah.
and then when we woke up the next morning, about, I don't know, 50, 70 yards, I found some bear scat from our tent. So
Close enough.
that's close enough.
I have to go.
So,
I'm gonna put this out there. It ain't about you, but it is about everybody familiar with who Jimmy Houston is. I know you
Yeah,
know who he is.
fisherman.
If y'all go on his site, he's got that big old pond and lake on his place, and he confirms to have Bigfoot from his land right out of. It's off of 35.
he's in Oklahoma too, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. He's just south of y'all got Ardmore,
Ardmore.
Oklahoma. He confirms that on his place. I texted him.
That's an hour from my
I didn't
house.
text him. I spoke to him on his YouTube channel, and he answered me back. I said, you got boogers on your place?" He said, "Yes, sir, I do." And I never
He's
talked
good
to him
friends
more
with
about
my
it.
boss.
And then that family arms guy had the one running across the fire. I don't know if you've seen that lately. But Cuz Strickland was with Mossy Oak on the other side of over in Mississippi. He confirmed they got boogers on their land or around where they live at. So that's two people that semi-important people that admitted to this thing. They couldn't do that but hurt their
Their channel stuff.
I
Like,
hurt their
yeah.
channel, I hurt their notoriety. And those two people, I just wanted to mention that those two people that admitted that being around over there where y'all at, as well as in Mississippi, which we all know there's plenty of reports in Mississippi.
It's the fun of fishing and never gets old.
Well, I've always said that the most credible reports of Bigfoot sightings are from people that have everything to lose by saying they saw one.
Notoriety.
Yeah, law enforcement.
They'll catch them.
Because in law enforcement, your whole everything is based on your credibility. You got to testify on the stand that what you did and saw was true and correct. And if you lose your credibility, it's your whole career. So, you know, you're not gonna have somebody risk their whole career to say they saw one. You know, been a lot of officers, judges, stuff like that. So I love those reports. There's something else I was gonna say that I forgot.
Yeah, our boys are using now up to my house. They're low.
When he lives right there, you can look on the satellite. He's got a,
26
him and his partner's got like 2,000 under fence. He's got a big old lake on a valley in there. And he mentioned it. I just called him. He just said something about it. He's riding around the side by side like you was talking about around his lake. So I texted. I'll just come back on his YouTube, ask him like on the comments, sir, you got boogers on your place? He knew exactly what I was talking about, and so did Cuz Strickland knew exactly what I was talking about. I couldn't believe he admitted to it. Really.
I'm telling you, Southeast Oklahoma is.
But it didn't booger. I mean, he was not alarmed by me asking that. They used to.
Well, if he knows about it, he wasn't going to be alarmed.
You know, he was used to evidently something showing up around there every once in a while, getting a deer or something, or seeing one tear his fence up, get across it or something.
When I was going through the Sierra Mountains on a road trip out there, and we had to go through this checkpoint, and forestry service people and people that work for the park and stuff were, I don't know why they were stopping and talking to people as they went through, but I asked one, hey, anybody seen any Bigfoots lately? And they looked at each other and were like, actually, come here, you know. I figured they'd say you're crazy or whatever. And they said a coworker of theirs that works up in the Forest Service in the Sierra Mountains in that particular area had recently had a couple of sightings, and there was a family of them living in the area. Come straight from a Forest Service guy that doesn't get much more credible than that.
Your background is what, sir?
What?
Your background is what, sir?
Law enforcement.
There you go.
Been a deputy sheriff for 16 years, and you're
He's got a video of it on my YouTube channel. It's called Kenny Goes to Sierra Mountains. Come and watch the video.
What have y'all been told about seeing this? Have y'all ever been warned not
Never
to
been brought up 26 years.
to not.
Never mentioned anything to me. Subjects never even come up.
No, not where we live.
And we've got
because-
rural areas, but nobody. We've got mountain lions supposedly in our coastal.
Joe, did you say it was Kenny Goes to the Sierras?
Kenny Goes to Sierra Mountains. But it says Squatching Cowboy on it, but it says Kenny Goes to Sierra Mountains.
Cowboy, when you going to go to the Wachita National Forest?
I've been in Oklahoma. I've been there a couple of times.
It's vast.
Been there a couple of times already. But I like I said, I like to go. When I go to Oklahoma, it's usually I try to go up there after Christmas because, like I say, everybody's at home. Usually, everybody's at home except people like me and people like go bigfooting.
Did you think to go around the campgrounds up there at Wachita?
No, I really didn't stay up there a long time, but I've been up there. And it's on my bucket list to go back there and camp for a while. And I was also just north of Broken Bow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know Gary Spike Senior and Junior.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that there's nothing up there, but the Oklahoma, I guess state of Oklahoma, years ago they plowed case if there's a forest fire, they can get the fire trucks back up in there. He said, but that was years ago and they don't maintain that road. So there's trees and stuff, all kinds of stuff fell down across it. And I'm gonna go up there and go back up there in the woods. But if you watch Bigfoot Odyssey with Kerry and Daniela, but this night Kerry wasn't there, but Daniela and Gary Spikes was there. my good buddy Gary Spike.
No, I'm at
And there was a guy on there, he didn't show his face. I'm not gonna say his name, but he told me about, he's got 200 something acres down southeast Texas. It's been in the family for over 200 years, and nobody's lived on this property for 25 years. And he says that there's some Bigfoot moved in on his property, and they won't let him come on the property. They think that's their property, and they don't want him on there or anybody else. And he called me and wants me to go down there. And I was supposed to go down there in August, but I got sick. So we talked about it, and we're gonna go. I'm gonna go back down there when it gets cooler and stay 4 or 5 days down there. Might not make it out, but I'm gonna go try.
Well, before you go, give me a call.
I will. It'll probably be sometime, maybe November, around November, maybe on Thanksgiving, because people are always home, eating turkey, so nobody's out in the woods.
I can eat bologna on Thanksgiving.
I just believe in going out during the week when everybody's at work or kids are at school. I think you got less chances of getting hoaxed out in the woods.
You do.
How many mailman and school bus drivers probably see this
Just think of a mailman running on the back roads of southeast Oklahoma up
Well,
there.
that's what that old boy in Arkansas was a UPS driver, and he got several.
Ain't that the one where you,
What's his name?
was it Ken King? Because he does a lot of Arkansas videos.
No, Lumpy. Ain't it Lumpy? Will Lumpy? He UPS driver. That's where he got some of his accounts in Arkansas, was running UPS route.
Yeah, I remember a story. He was on the back roads and he stopped to water the trees.
Yeah.
and, he,
That
and,
same guys were ordering her in her tent. I don't know why.
and he said, he said that he was getting back in the truck and looked in the mirror and there was a Bigfoot behind his truck or something like that. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
And he said he didn't know what to do. It was scared him so much that Bigfoot was picking out the side of his truck and looking in his mirror at him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm at
I mean, I would freak out. I said, well, what did he see before I was doing that? Before
Hey,
I got the truck?
I know y'all haven't seen one up close and personal. What are you gonna do whenever you see one up close and personal?
I don't know, and I don't think anybody can say that.
probably call you. What do I do now?
I don't think anybody can honestly say. I've heard people say, "Why sit there and try to talk to it?" I'm calling BS on that because you don't know how you're going to act.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Bear, you've seen, I don't know how 30,
30 plus.
but you know how you act if you see one. If you see one tonight, you know how you act because you've already
I've
seen
been
it.
in that situation.
I know. If it's your first time to see one, you can't say how you're going to act. How'd you act the first time you see one?
Pretty much calm, cool, and collected.
Well, I don't know about that. I about screamed like a little girl through the woods. I ain't gonna lie.
I did that earlier.
Yeah.
I can see you pushing Kenny down like that into the dirt and running.
No, he done told me, he said he just doesn't have anything to worry about because he can outrun me.
That's all you gotta do. Is get faster.
I think of Wayne says you don't have to be the fastest one, but you have to be faster than the slowest one.
That's all there is to it.
I can see poor Kenny getting pushed down. You know it ain't gonna work.
I'm
He's
gonna,
bounce up his all over.
I'm gonna slice his Achilles down by his heel.
Yeah. Oh, that'll start back.
I'll never forget a guy on a bear hunt. Oh, he was on a elk hunt. He said, "Look, a bear come up and said, don't you move. If you do, I'll shoot you in the Achilles heel."
You don't go
Don't
very
you take
fast
off or
with
nothing on that bear. You're supposed to hold your ground and do whatever you got to do. It was a Colorado, it was a black bear. But